Warning, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me.
I would say that Greg Gutfeld here isn't trying to be funny, and he sure ain't playing. Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of the Afternoon Drive. Now, right out the gate, let me say this, and some of you will care and some of you won't, but that's okay. It's my show. I've never been a huge Greg Gutfeld guy. When he first popped onto Fox News and, you know, they spun him as this comedian who was going to give us his hot take on the news, I was like, really? Come on. That sounds so gimmicky to me. And then when I heard a couple of his commentaries, I thought, yeah, okay, I see why he's on Fox News now, because apparently I don't think he's funny. I just don't. You know, more power to him. I guess, you know, he's beating Jimmy Kimmel and what's his name, Jimmy Fallon in the late night wars, which I don't know if that is a credit to Greg's humor or the fact that those guys are just so absolutely pathetically unfunny that it causes Greg's numbers to skyrocket. Nonetheless, I do believe he's actually committed to the conservative cause, and this takedown that he did is absolutely epic. Not because, you know, he's sitting there with this, you know, token libloon that Fox News loves to parade out, especially on the 5, and she is just so pathetically inept. But it's obvious there's real passion here. He's not reading this off the teleprompter. He has notes in front of him. I'm almost thinking, had he turned this in, what he wanted to say, so that could be, you know, put together by whoever it is that puts together the copy for the teleprompter, it would have been nixed by a producer. They wouldn't have allowed him to make the points he was trying to make. So notice he keeps looking down. So he wanted to make sure these things got out there. What he's had it with, because the left has tried everything. You know, first they, you know, we don't know who this is. We don't know what the motive was. You know, even Jimmy Kimmel the other night still trying to make the case that this was a MAGA guy. Give me a break. Kimmel, you are beyond a doubt. You're not pathetically stupid, but you are pathetically just bought, paid for. You're nothing but a libloon talking point hoe, and you have prostituted whatever talent and gift for parody and comedy that you ever might have had back in the day of the Man Show. That's all gone. You're just a shill and probably cucked at home by your wife as well. And so, you know, no one cares what Jimmy Kimmel thinks, and the ratings prove it. That all said, the one narrative now that they're trying to stick with is, well, there's violence on both sides. You know, there have been Democrats that have been shot at and had their lives taken. They're trying to make a moral equivalent, and it's not. We didn't burn any cities down. We didn't loot any Nike stores to help us cope. And any Democrat they want to point to that may have been shot at, you begin to find out, like they love to go with this, the shootings in Minnesota. done by a guy dressed as a cop that they are trying to claim was a Trump guy, a Republican. Maybe at one time in his life he was, but he was a Tim Walz appointee. And he was involved with the movement No More Kings. And I think there was some media attempts there to try to really portray this guy as a right-winger, when in reality, he too was a left libloon, because I promise you, Tim Walz would not have appointed anyone who had any conservative MAGA leaning. So can we cut the crap there? And Greg Gutfeld has just absolutely had it. And he gets into it.
What is interesting here is, why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know.
What about
There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is, there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your what about this? The fact of the matter is, the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart, because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans, and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that.
Wow. Greg, the only thing you did wrong there, don't apologize. And don't offer her a way out. I don't think you're like them, but don't. She empowers this. The more that she and people like her within that Democratic, liberal, echo chamber sphere of influence make excuses, try to offer explanation. J.D. Vance is right. There can be no reconciling with these people till there is an actual, real justice meted out, that the violence is coming from them. So don't apologize to her.
He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
but
since
the two
then.
sides argument, well, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's
does
have
seem...
a conversation.
No,
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good.
Greg Gutfeld just absolutely nuked the entire position now of the left that wants to go with this moral equivalent that we're all the same and there's violence on both sides and it's all the same, this relativism. Greg Gutfeld just absolutely caused that whole argument to crash and burn. Good job, Gutfeld.
All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's
does
have
seem...
a conversation.
No,
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on the story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
Boom, shakalaka boom.